the Healing Through Love podcast with Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson. Join Katy Andrews in episode 101 to learn how to conquer procrastination and gain confidence for a stress-free, adventurous life.
So it can be things like, dropping what you're doing in the moment. So you might be in the middle of a task, but a thought's come into your head about something, and it's stopping you from doing what you're meant to be doing in that moment. That can be a big thing. And things like, because everybody's different, but things like, maybe getting a bit aggy with people, changing your tone, changing your behavior, you feel agitated, you don't feel yourself. If you think of stress and procrastination, there's similar characteristics, in terms of how you might change your behavior. So just not feeling and acting like your normal self is the big thing. But there's going to be loads of different strands to that. But again, it's just kind of trying to find a solution and taking a step back, I think. So if you are finding that your situation is shifting somewhat, maybe go and take a walk or make a cup of tea or just do something just to kind of shift your mind away from that moment.
Welcome to another episode of Healing Through Love. Each week, we share ideas, experiences, and resources to increase the awareness of domestic and family violence and to empower survivors to grow and thrive. We talk with experts who share their advice, or with people who have experienced abuse, no matter where they are on their journey. This is all about healing through love. And now, here are your hosts, Sharlene Lynch and Rose Davidson.
Hello, and welcome to the Healing Through Love podcast, the space where stories of strength, resilience, and transformation unfold. I'm your host, Rose Davidson, and I'm honoured to be your guide on this journey of empowerment and healing. Today we have a very special episode tailored just for you. Whether you're driving, sipping on a cup of tea, or simply taking a moment for yourself, I want you to know that you are in a very safe space. The Healing Through Love podcast is more than a podcast. It's a community. It's a beacon of hope, and it's a reminder that you are never alone. In this episode, we have a guest who will share a story that resonates with the core of our mission, a story that illuminates the power of love, resilience, and the unwavering strength that lies within each of us. So settle in, take a deep breath, and let your healing journey begin. Before we dive into today's inspiring conversation, a quick reminder: if you find value in our episodes, consider supporting us by subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your engagement helps us to reach more hearts and spread the message of healing. Now, it's my very great pleasure to welcome Katy Andrews, beg your pardon, to the podcast. And Katy, she is a remarkable individual dedicated to helping others navigate the complexities of stress and procrastination to attain a more fulfilling and joyful existence. As an accredited Life and Procrastination Coach with a diploma in counselling and therapy, Katy brings a wealth of knowledge and expertise to her work. Since 2022, Katy has embarked on a transformative journey travelling the globe after the profound insights gained during the pandemic. Fueled by a desire for adventure and personal growth, she left behind conventional norms to explore the world and redefine her life's purpose. She has a passion for supporting individuals in realising their aspirations, and Katy offers personalised one-on-one guidance tailored to each person's unique needs. Her bespoke approach fosters accountability and empowers individuals to overcome obstacles, achieve their goals, and lead their best lives. Welcome, Katy, and thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a complete honour, so thank you very much.
It's our very great pleasure. Now, could you please explain, Katy, to us how you became a life and procrastination coach? What led you on that journey?
In all honesty, I think my entire life I've been going through sort of obstacles and challenges to actually get to where I am today. But ultimately, I realised that my calling to be a life coach was when I was working in HR. So when I was working in HR, I was guiding and supporting managers, helping the business, but also supporting employees with things like interview skills, confidence, CV critique or resume in your world. And, I enjoyed the element of it, that coaching people, that guiding people, that helping people to be the very best version of themselves, to realize they can achieve everything. And, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed HR, no 2 days are the same, but it was that coaching element, that realizing the words that I use and me showing up can help people change their life, and it can be so powerful. So that's what sort of led me on that journey to go, okay, can I do more of this? What is the world of coaching, and how can I utilize that and utilize my strengths? So it started in HR, and then I did get 2 jobs working as a coach, sort of in the HR realm, and helping people and coaching people through their HR qualifications so that they can again feel empowered to take on a new career and tackle things like imposter syndrome, which can be a big thing, feeling like you can you're not worthy of being your best self and stuff. So that's kind of the journey, but everything, like looking back, has led to that point. So it's an interesting ride, really. And do I wish that I would have realized sooner? Absolutely. However, I've had to kind of go through everything to show up as the best version of me to help people. So yeah, that's kind of how it all came to this.
Wow,
So
what a great journey. As
yeah,
a previous HR professional, so I
yeah.
can understand all the things that need to go. And HR, as you said, is not an every day is never the same, and it can be quite a stressful job because you are looking after an organization, and each person's needs are different in what they need for to either progress in the workplace or just to try and fit in, because fitting in is very, very important. And some people, it's a bit like a round peg in a square hole, and HR helps to mold that person in so that they can fit. So yeah, I totally understand that the stresses and sometimes limitations too to what HR can do. So I guess moving, so how did you help people to become less stressful and freer and happier in the workplace and indeed in your coaching business?
Ultimately, it's getting to the root cause. So again, this is something that, being in HR yourself, you could probably recognize that you've got to establish the facts in order to move forward, haven't you? You've got to find out the core of what is going on for that person and what the issues are so that you can find solutions, help them strategize and empower them to, think, I don't need to be stuck in this way. I can change if I want to, and this is the thing with coaching, people have got to be willing to change. If they're not willing to change, you can be the best coach in the world. They've got to have that willing and desire. And if they've got that and they just feel a little bit lost and a little bit stuck, then I can work with that because I can give them, I can empower them and give them the confidence and the accountability, which is a big strength of a coach, to help them move forward. So yeah, it's about finding out what is the cause, but also what are your values. And that's a big one even for me, and again, going back to HR, if you're not living and breathing your values, it means that a lot of issues can occur and you don't know how to deal with them. You're not best placed to deal with them. Whereas if you know your values and what you stand for, if something happens that doesn't align with that, you can take the steps to move forward. So one example of that will be with my values, it's respect, one of them, mutual respect and getting it back. And I've realized over the years that I've let that slip, in the past, whereas now I'm like, no, I'm sticking by that. I give people respect, I want that back. And if people are not aligned with that, we're just not on the same journey together, and I can carry on my path. So that can provide a lot of clarity as well. So values and getting to the root cause are the big ones for me.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly with everything that you've just said. I guess, how they can, become less stressed and become happier. Procrastination is a huge thing in everyone's lives. And I even high achievers procrastinate and from time to time. So how can we overcome that feeling or that want to procrastinate?
I think the biggest thing for me is increasing your awareness. So accepting the procrastination is a thing. A lot of people say to me, how can I cure it? How can I get rid of it? Like you can find strategies to minimize it, but ultimately I see procrastination as linked with mental health and stress. And it can always rear its ugly head. We all have triggers, but again, it's about that awareness piece of what are your triggers? What are the cause? So for me in the past, I would procrastinate over things like, I don't know, like if a manager says, oh, I want this piece of work doing by tomorrow and giving you hardly any time, say, I would probably procrastinate over that in the past because I also had perfectionism, and I think the two can be interlinked in a way. I wanted to do a good job, and if I couldn't do a good job, I would procrastinate. So things like that would be dropped on you last minute would probably make me procrastinate. But now it's about that awareness piece of, okay, sometimes things will be outside of your control. Sometimes your manager will come to you and go, I want this done by tomorrow. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to, sort of have the conversation and go, well, actually, I can do this for you for tomorrow. I've got all these other priorities. Do you want me to drop them while I focus on this to kind of make it easier for yourself? So it's trying to find a solution so that you procrastinate less, just kind of act in that moment. Now, don't get me wrong, it's easier said than done, and hindsight can be a wonderful thing. However, it's always important when you have those moments when you procrastinate to try and reflect on it and think, what could I have done better in that situation? What can I do better next time? So reflecting and having that awareness can help you sort of deal with the procrastination and just acknowledging that it's always going to be there really, but what can you do to kind of just make life easier for yourself,
Yeah, awareness in all situations, I guess, is a great thing to have. And sometimes we're not self-aware because we don't see the wood for the trees, as it were. And so how can we understand when we are being a procrastinator? What are the signs that we should be looking for?
So it can be things like, dropping what you're doing in the moment. So you might be in the middle of a task, but a thought's come into your head about something, and it's stopping you from doing what you're meant to be doing in that moment. That can be a big thing. And things like, because everybody's different, but things like maybe getting a bit aggy with people. Changing your tone, changing your behavior, you feel agitated, you don't feel yourself. If you think of stress and procrastination, there's similar characteristics, in terms of how you might change your behavior. So just not feeling and acting like your normal self is the big thing. But there's going to be loads of different strands to that. But again, it's just kind of trying to find a solution and taking a step back, I think. So if you are finding that your situation is shifting somewhat, maybe go and take a walk or make a cup of tea or just do something just to kind of shift your mind away from that moment so you can bring yourself back. But yeah, people can change in a variety of different ways. I've even seen people that are procrastinating, start going off work and stuff like that because they can't deal with it. So it very much depends on the individual, but are you acting differently? And have you got that awareness that you can spot that, because I know I can, but can people spot that, in themselves?
It's difficult for people in a domestic and family violence situation to see that they're procrastinating, whether about changing their behaviours or getting out of the situation or just leaving altogether. How can they recognise, or what are some steps that they can take to recognise they are procrastinating about a certain decision that they should be making for their own welfare?
So this is linked with domestic violence, did you say?
Yes.
Okay, so with domestic violence, that is actually adding another layer, isn't it? And, there's a lot of fear, I guess, with people that are going through domestic violence, a fear of the unknown, a fear of, if I take this step or something, what's going to happen? I think ultimately, if you are a domestic violence individual, try and, if you're in a situation where you can't see the wood for the trees, maybe try and find a professional or somebody that you can speak to. There's lots of domestic violence agencies out there, that are designed for this kind of thing. Try and find one that is reputable, that you feel that you can open up to, that can provide whatever support they're offering. And obviously that'll differ from area to area, country to country, but that would be my suggested thing, because you've got that extra layer of fear and stuff that you're dealing with on top of everything else. Find that support and just take it day by day. Be kind to yourself, take things slowly. It's not an easy situation that you're going through on top of the procrastination and everything else. So that would be my thing. Find a specialist in that area to support you.
Great advice, Katy. Thank you so much for sharing that. A lot of us are procrastinators by nature, and you say it's a lot of times related to stress. But how can we, pull ourselves out of that situation and find the confidence to be able to move on to the next task?
I think the biggest thing for me, and in hindsight that I wish I would have done when I was in the height of my procrastination, which lasted for years. And I thought, I'm the problem, there's something wrong with me. Because I had procrastination combined with a bit of anger because of other issues that were compounding that in my life. And I sort of detached myself from people. And I'm a bit introverted anyway, but I did detach myself further. And I felt like I was in a black hole, a pit of procrastination is what I like to call it. And maybe listeners can relate to this. This is just my story, but looking back in hindsight, I just wish I would have spoken to someone. But again, it's the fear and sometimes embarrassment. You think there's something wrong with me. I don't know what that is, but I must be the problem. I'm sort of like causing all these issues for myself, which is to a degree it was my fault. But I just wish I would have spoken to somebody, whether it be a coach, a therapist, a professional, a friend, family member, whoever. But I didn't. I just let myself stay in that pit of misery, if you will, for a long, long time. But it has made me realize that I wouldn't want to go there again, and I would act soon as there was always a positive to it. But I would say the first thing is just find someone that you can speak to, someone who's been through similar, that you can offload to. There's a lot to be said for just getting things off your chest, whether it's therapy or not, just offloading and just sort of feeling that weight come off your shoulders, because it does kind of sit there on your shoulders and add to other things. When I was sort of going through procrastination, I didn't look very well. I didn't have a glow. I'd come down with colds left, right, and centre. It was impacting other areas of my life. So I think, just if you can speak to someone, even if it's in just some small way, whatever feels right for you, But that is a big thing for me. If I could go back in time, taking that first step,
Yeah, great advice. I think seeking help in any situation is always advantageous, and and sometimes just a friend, just to a sounding board for you that you can maybe not get advice from, but at least you can tell somebody how you're feeling, and they might be able to offer some shoulder to cry on. And sometimes just a good cry is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, therapeutic to just get things off your chest.
Thank you, that was the word I was looking for. Now, you've been traveling around quite a lot, Katy, and through your travels, you've learned to live your best life and helped others to live their best life and achieve their goals. But you offer a bespoke support service. So can you just outline what that entails?
So it does very much depend on the individual, but to start with, I always have a compatibility session, and what that involves is a one-to-one like this, where we're getting to know one another. It's an informal chat. It's nothing to be fearful of. It's just you get to know me, I get to know you. We can see if we can work together, because it's important to be compatible and on the same page, and that's not always the case. So just getting to know one another, you can tell me a little bit more about what you're dealing with, and I will be completely honest with you as to whether I can help you or not, because sometimes it's not just procrastination that people deal with. There might be other layers. So it'll be me asking you questions that can be quite deep sometimes, just to help you peel back some of those layers. So it is important for people to be in the right frame of mind for that, because it can get a little bit deep, but it's all for you to be able to kind of see if we can work together. And then based on that, if I feel I can work with you, we'll create a bespoke plan. So that might be, you only feel like you want 4 weeks of support, meeting every week, one-to-one virtually like this, where you can offload, tell me your problems, and we'll create a plan that feels right for you, that you can digest and move forward with. And, nothing's really set in stone. If you find one week you're having a particularly tough week, just talk to me and we'll, rejig the plan. So yeah, it's very much dependent on the person. And sometimes I'll work with people for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks. It may go on even longer. It just depends what people want and what people need. But ultimately, I help with things like procrastination, confidence, because confidence can take a knock when you're procrastinating. You just don't feel like yourself, and helping you achieve your goals. So giving you the accountability and the clarity to really work out what your goals are and move forward, with some confidence and empowerment from me. So I hope that answers your question in a nutshell.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, thank you for sharing that. Because people are always interested, if they're going to work with a coach, what services or the behind the scenes offerings that they may have. So yeah, that was very, very open and honest and authentic, and I really love that. Thank you so much. Katy, do you have anything that you'd like to offer our listeners today, or is there a website that they can go to find out what you offer and book in for your services?
Yeah, so I have a couple of free ebooks that I've created for people to get some value in those areas that I've just mentioned. And again, it will give you a snippet as to whether you feel that, you could work with me and get some value. That's really important to me. So the first free ebook I've got is called Procrastination to Power, which is all about procrastination, confidence. It's packed full of podcasts and blogs and various things in there that you can access for free. The second one I've created since the economic downturn, because a lot of people are struggling with career at the moment. Finding jobs is a really difficult thing for people. So I've created a resilient career navigation ebook as well, because owning in from my skills of HR, where I have helped people with confidence, interview skills, I wanted to give something back. So I've created a book as well. Now, I have changed my website. I've simplified it, because over the years I've realized people don't want too complex a website. They just want to get what they want to get. So I have changed it, and I will say what it is, and maybe we can pop it into the comments later on. But it's msha.ke, which I think stands for milkshake, /Katy Andrews. That's KatyAndrews. And if people access that, they can just scroll down, they'll see the free ebooks that they can get straight away. And if they do want to work with me, they can hop on that compatibility session. So yeah, we'll share that afterwards. And if people want to access that, will be great. And I'm always open to feedback as well. If there's more that you want in the ebook, tell me and I'll add to it. But yeah, that's how people can access some information.
Well, Katy, thank you so much for sharing that and spelling out the website, because I wasn't quite sure what the middle bit stood for. I mean, the Katy Andrews part, I understood that, but the other bit, I'd not seen a website URL quite like it. So yeah, thank you for explaining all of that to me. Katy, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us today. And I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
Thank you very much for having me. Take care.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Healing Through Love. You can get further resources, see the show notes, or simply reach out to us via our website at htlaustralia.org. Thanks so much for joining us, and we look forward to your company next time on the Healing Through Love podcast.